right, we're going to be using a limited palette. It's going to be a modified version of the Zorn palette. So we have the titanium white. Here's some yellow ochre pale. And for my red, instead of the vermilion that Zorn used, I'm going to go with my Terra Rosa. Just like how that looks in a lot of my flesh colors. So you can do that. You can experiment with the different colors. So you could use a cad yellow, you could use the vermilion, you could use cad red light, you could use an Alessian crimson. And for the black, I'm swapping out for Van Dyke brown. So we'll see how that plays out in the mixing of our skin tone. All right, so let's see what we're going to mix up first. Okay, let's see what color we're going to be mixing up for this cheek here. I'm going to place it over here on the palette. Okay, you can see that's going to be sort of a light mauve-y pink flesh tone. So let's go to our palette and mix it up. All right, let's mix up this first light flesh tone that we see on the cheek. I'm going to take a little white, a little Terra Rosa to start. Seems a little warm and a little tad dark in value. I'm gonna grab some more white. Sometimes I forget how strong that Terra Rosa can be. So that's better value-wise. Now let's cool it off with a little bit of our Van Dyke brown. It's good to add that in slowly. I think that just about did it. All right, there we go. That's our first flesh tone. We used a little titanium white, Terra Rosa, and just a touch of Van Dyke brown. And there we go. Now let's go back to our screen and see our next flesh tone we're going to mix up. Now let's look more in towards this warmer color. And you can see how it compares to the first color we mixed up. It's quite a bit warmer and a little bit darker next to our first color. And there it is. And a little bit hotter. All right, let's mix it up. Okay, we've got a little bit more red in this one. So I'm just gonna go right to it. Grab some of that Terra Rosa. Mix him up here. Actually, let me move this guy down a little bit. I like to put my lighter colors on the bottom row of my palette and my mid values in the middle row. So we're going to use this. Actually, he needs to be a little bit lighter, so we'll just use some of that in with our pure Terra Rosa, and that'll lighten it up a touch. There we go. Could even lighten that up a tiny bit more. So I'm using a tad bit of that initial flesh color that I mixed. Okay, I think it needs to still be lighter than that, so we're gonna grab some more of that pure titanium white now. I'm not sure. I'm thinking it's pretty close to being red enough. Could be a little bit lighter. So each time we add a little bit more titanium white, it cools it off a tad. Okay. I'd say that's it. So all it really needed was some Terra Rosa and titanium white. One of the reasons why I love the Terra Rosa so much, it makes easy mixing for flesh colors. All right, let's go back to our image, which we pulled up in Photoshop, and see what we're gonna mix up next. All right, let's examine this color that I see inside of the eye socket, which is in the shadow of his hat. So that's quite a bit darker than the last color that we mixed up, but it's still pretty warm. I see a lot of reddish brown color there. So let's drop it in here. And all right, let's mix that one now. Okay, reddish brown. Start with some of this Terra Rosa here. And we'll take some of our Van Dyke brown. It's going to be a pretty dark but warm color. Reddish brown is what we're looking for. Let's say that's pretty close. I'm going to add just a touch more Van Dyke brown to that. And I would say it's there. That's the reddish brown for that upper eyelid area. I'm not going to mix every single color for the face initially, just a few key colors. And then as we're painting, there'll be some colors that we mix along the way from the initial color piles. All right, let's see if there's a few more colors for us to start with though. I want to take a look at this. I want to get the skin color down here where we got some of his beard and whiskers covering it. But initially, it's like a tan. So, to mix that, I'd say that's a mid-value. So let's go mix him up in our mid-value row. Okay, we've got a sort of a mauve mid-value color. I see a bit of yellow in that. I'm going to actually grab a little bit of this skin color that we mixed up, the second one. And I'm going to add some of the yellow ochre to that. Okay, it's going to be a little darker. So let's grab some of the Van Dyke brown. I'll cool it off a little bit too. It was way too hot. It was flaming. It's better. Still a little hot. I'm going to add another bit of Van Dyke brown. Oh yeah. That took it down quite nicely. I just want to lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to do that with some titanium white, a little bit. So it looks like our face is going to be working with the warm shadow, cool lights situation. This is a mid-value, so we probably should mix some warm mid-values and some cool mid-values. But I feel like everything that's in our darker row would want to continue to be warm, and everything down here in our lighter row will continue to be cool. I feel like that's pretty close, but I want to add a touch of the yellow ochre back in. So we cooled it off with that titanium white a bit. So I'm liking this limited palette with the swap out of the Terra Rosa and the Van Dyke Brown. All right, I feel like that nailed it. Now let's go back to our screen and see what's next. All right, how about we look at this neck color here? So there's a light bit there, and there's a little bit of a mid value here, and then it goes into shadow from that being underneath the beard there. So that lighter value is it's cool. So it's keeping with our cool lights situation and our warm shadows. Let's see what it looks like compared to that. Oh, that's very dark. So even though it's a light value in the neck, it's not a light value on our palette, it's a mid value. So I would put him in the middle row. All right, let's mix that guy up. All right, this mid value, it's pretty much the same value as this guy. So let's take a little bit of him. And it's just a bit redder. So let's grab a little Terra Rosa. And I'm gonna make him a little bit lighter, taking away a touch of that initial pile we made that's in our light row. It's still a little bit warm. Let's grab a little of the Van Dyke Brown, pop him in there. Let's say that's it. Can tell compared to this guy that it's it. All right. Get another neck value going. I want to take a look at this value right here, this color in the neck. Kind of a taupey brown. All right, let's mix him up. Sort of a neutral dark. All right, let's mix up that neutral dark. I'm gonna just start with some Van Dyke Brown and a tiny bit of white. Van Dyke Brown tends to have a kind of purplish gray tint to it once you pop a little touch of white onto there, which is going to get us pretty close to our neutral dark that we're looking for. A tiny bit more titanium white. Typically I don't like to mix my darks with white because it can give you a chalkiness, but in this case it'll work. Especially since we're just applying a little bit of it in that neck area. So there we go, a neutral dark. And you can see how neutral it is next to that other warm shadow dark color that I mixed up before. Okay, so we've got 3 good medium color values, mid values. I've got a warm dark and a neutral dark, which is good. I've got 1 light value, which is a cool light value. And I think I see a light neutral on the neck. So let's go investigate that and see if we need to mix it up. And maybe we'll mix up 1 or 2 more colors and then our palette will be ready. All right, let's look at that light neck color, which I'm seeing here. It looks light. Bring it over here. Okay, it's not very light. It's definitely a mid-value. So it's gonna go down there. What I thought looked really light in that neck area only looked light because it's next to darker colors. It's so crazy how that can fool your eye. And that's why values are so important to understand. All right, let's mix up that color that we just made. So this is going to be used as a light value, which is not really a light value, in the neck area. Now, it's warmish, not as warm as this initial color, but warmer than these two colors. And it seems to be pretty close to the same value as this guy again. So if we take a little bit of him and we knock down some of the saturation with that other mid-value color we have next to it, we go here. Now, I feel like if I take a little bit of this light color we mixed up, it'll get us where we need to be. And it did. There we are. Okay, I feel like that we have enough colors here on our palette to go ahead and get started painting the face of our first cowboy. So let's do it. Let's paint.